Good morning. Welcome to Savitri summarization. So this morning we are going to see a great topic that is on the kingdoms and godheads of the greater life. The topic of discussion is actually Book 2, Canto 6, The Kingdoms and the Godheads of the Greater Life. Initially, we have seen the kingdoms of the little mind, the godheads of the little mind. Now itself, we are crossing little bit. We are exceeding little bit to discuss the topic that is the kingdoms and godheads of the greater life. It's a brilliant topic, beautiful topic. Really, you will find a number of sentences. These are actually mantric, very much awe-inspiring, oft-quoted. Of course, many things you will find here. This is of course a big one. Still, then we are trying to complete up everything within a stipulated time frame. So, and let us go. Escaping from this the anarchic world of lower life. It has been the life kingdoms of the lower life. It is actually that world has been described as the anarchic world. Ashwapati enters into the realms of the greater life. From this lower life, he is entering into the domains of the realms of the greater life. The world is he first steps into is an ineffectual one where there is but an intermittent will to live and no direction at all. That is the description of that realm, greater life. So it is an intermittent will to live but no direction at all, but actually it is an ineffectual region. um, Arrives at the indefinite tract where hope dares to be but uncertain in its tenure. Uncertain in its tenure, but actually hope dares. Life is in a strange state. Very interesting. Life is in a strange state. See dreams and images, but don't actually create it. On it is mind yet to create. But thing is that life yet to create. It is in a strange state. Dreams and imagines, but yet to create actually. Beings are attracted to take birth into life, but hold back in its births. Attracted for the birth, but actually hold back on the births. It is a world of enchantment, but there is neither base nor goal. So this type of contradiction, it is a world of enchantment, but there is neither base nor goal. Again, the great creation follows. A greater creation follows. After this one, we can find there is a greater creation which follows. The will to life is manifested in a more substantial way. The will to life is manifested in a more substantial way. The inner spirit impresses itself on the innumerable forms of life. Here, anyway, we have seen the inner spirit. Talk of the inner spirit by the process of evolution, somehow it has been found, it has been of course described, impresses itself on the innumerable forms of life. There is a rhythm and a beauty. You can find there is a rhythm and a beauty in life, a light and joy you can feel there, however incomplete, bespeak a greater glory beyond. So you can find, already we have discussed, as much as you will be shifting upwards, you will be getting elevated to the upper zenith rather. So the minimum, this marginality, this confusion, this confines, this narrowness, it will be dropping down. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully, these realms exerts a great influence upon the earth, exerts a great influence upon the earth. The higher movements of the life on earth are inspired from here. Not ordinary, higher life, which actually exerted and of course exists. The higher movements of the life on earth are of course inspired from here. Here is the pattern to which human seeking points. The pattern to which the here human seeking points, getting awe inspiration from these worlds, these people who are this life leading the higher life. Again, an endless possibility is seen here, climbing high on a ladder of dreams. You can expect there is aspiration, there is of course desire for the higher life. Climbing high on the ladder of dreams, from higher to greater spirit, from height to greater height. So there is actually ladder of dreams from height to greater height. And energy at the work perpetually, though it results in a transient putting out its forms larger and larger, but actually you can find the work of a perpetual energy. It is working properly, perpetually. She tries by every means to regain the bliss she has lost. Regain the bliss she has lost. The lost was bliss was there. She has lost. Here tries to regain in the course of the devolution from her source in the supreme spirit, but she fails to attain it. She had, she lost, trying to gain, attain, but yet to get, it is actually his failing, fails to attain it. Though thus unable to achieve her ends, naturally it is only it is not in a position to achieve everything. She strives on and on. She strives on and on because she is impelled to do so by the will of the Creator active in her. The will of the Creator, it is active in her. He is moving and aspiring towards the tops. He is actually helped by that will of the Creator and impelled. She can't stay. There is impelled force to live on, to strive on, to move on, to climb on. Her mission is to manifest the unmanifest. That is the great thing. Here in this realm, you can find her mission is to manifest the unmanifest, to express the eternal in the terms of time. This is the great thing Sri Aurobindo has written here. Actually, what is the vision here? Her mission here. Her mission is to manifest the unmanifest. Second, to express the eternal in time. So this is the mission. All purposeful work is indeed done behind the veil, because the divine spirit, the willing creator, this creator will is working behind the veil. With the limited means, she strives, fails, attempts again. With the because he has got her limited means, with this minimum limited means, she of course strives, fails, and attempts again. The will to live persists, and the myriad creation is projected. With this, actually, there is an impetus. There is an very much good attempt to climb on, to wake up, at least to try to gain. Of course, he is failing again and again. The greater life is pursuit of the unseen. This greater life is in the pursuit of the unseen, the light beyond. This greater life is in pursuit, is actually pursuing, is in pursuit of the unseen, the light beyond. She feels the silence and touch and grace from above. That is the great criteria, getting the touch and grace from the above, and pursuit of the unseen, the light beyond, getting the grace from above. She is close to the heavens of the gods. That is another thing. Close to the heaven of the gods, but also the worlds of the demons. Both the ways she is very much close. She hungers for expansion, for elevation, for perfection, and goes on creating till for that end. So three things actually her mission. One is for expansion, second is for elevation, third is for perfection. For that she is striving. She is almost achieves her aim, but falls short of the youth ultimately. Nearing, approaching, grace is there, seeing from within, still then there is failure. Anyway, we'll try to read couple of lines from Sri Aurobindo's Savitri originally, because already this is the portion of the Savitri summarization we have seen. Life labored in a strange and mystic air. Life labored in a strange and mystic air. In the very beginning, Sri Aurobindo has quoted beautifully, as one who between dim receding walls towards the far gleam of a tunnel's mouth, hoping for light, walks now with a freer pace and feels approach a breath of wider air, so he escaped from that grey anarchy. So into the an ineffectual world he came, already we have discussed, a purposeful region of arrested birth, where being from non-being fled and dared to live, but had no strength long to avoid. So already we have discussed anyway. Still in the course again, a will that unpersisting failed worked there. Life was a search, but finding never come. There nothing satisfied, but all allured. Things seemed to be that never wholly are. Again, during the course, nothing was solid, nothing felt complete. All was unsafe, miraculous, and half true. It seemed a realm of lives that had no base at all. So again, we can find something very interesting way to the next step. We find here to here the beautiful description by the Lord, which actually have found its way into the ineffable space, have captured in a sealed sweetness of desire that yearned from a bosom of mysterious bliss, half manifested veiled reality. So this is incomplete half and all. A soul not wrapped into the cloak of mind could glimpse the true sense of a world of forms. Here that is actually visible. Against here in the course, an energy of perpetual transience makes the journey from which no return is sure. The journey from which no return is sure, a pilgrimage of nature to the unknown, as if in her ascent to her lost source, she hoped to unroll all its that could ever be. So this is the testing what it is. The thing is going on. That exploration is going on. She is still going on, but thing is everything ineffectual already described in the here. This is her secret and impossible task. Sri Aurobindo again quotes. This is her secret and impossible task. What is that? To cast the boundless in a net of birth, number one. To cast the spirit into physical form, into number two. Lend speech and thought to the ineffable, number three. She is pushed to reveal the ever unmanifest. Yet, by her skill, the impossible has been done. So this is the attempt. Everything this attempt is being done. It has been found. So again we can go to the next level of discussion. It can only near and touch. It can't hold. It can only strain towards some bright extreme. Its greatness is to seek and to create. So everything is going on. It is a continuous process. Things are, even if it is failing, there is obscurity, but still then there is hope to struggle on. The spirit survives upon non-being's ground. World force outlast the world disillusions suck. Dumb, she is still the word, the inert power. Here fallen, a slave of death and ignorance to things deathless, she is driven to aspire and moved to know even the unknowable. So later we can find the beautiful definition here. In a very glorious way we can see the suns are planets are lamps to light her road. This world is her long journey through the night. This world is her long journey through the night. The suns are planets lamps to light her road. Our region is the confidant of his thoughts. Our senses are her vibrant witnesses. This is the realm where really sees actually the life is going on. Again we can find, but the real veils from her its a mystic face. All else she finds there lacks eternity. There lacks it. So again we are going to the next part. The next portion we will find in a very glorious way. Thus does life exert herself and create on every plane of existence, irrespective of the failures. She may meet the course of her toil. There is actually failure. There is, of course, we can find downs. So it is there. Still, then she hopes to toil on. In that condition, she is producive in her labor. Never fails. Never tries to lose hope. She is producive in her labor, even when she is apparently immobile. If that is, she works beneath the surface. When it seems apparently immobile, still she works beneath the surface. In the utmost obscurity of matter, still active. Utmost obscurities of the matter, amid that one also she is very much active. There is an intelligence in her that guides, and a will that goes through darkness, non-sentience and inertia. to an irresistible creative movement. Through all the odds, actually, there is a progress, there is an will, there is an attempt to progress on, to go on. Gradually, sense, mind, and heart, three things are there. Sense, mind, heart, and soul. So these are the things which actually come into formation, and the world possession of one by her assumes a meaning and a direction. So there actually there is this world possession. It is the obvious and assumes the meaning and the direction. Life means recapture her lost eternity. So this is the thing we can. Life means to recapture the lost eternity. Eternity was there, it was sacrificed, it was a lost. Attempt began, many failures on the way. Still, then there was a chance of recapturing and recaptured. Life moves into action for the direction of her Purusha. That is the thing. By 100 means she seeks to hold her interest and turns to the native state of immutable and formless peace. In 100 ways it is turned because already we know recapture lost reality. Then action it starts. Then 100 means are tried to fulfill the interest and to gain the immutable and formless peace. He is fast asleep in her profounds, and gradually she awakes him to the consciousness that and world she builds in a net of which he is held. So this is the thing. Life wants to be colorful, by the way, and he is fast asleep in the profounds. Gradually she wakes him. He has to wake up, and this life is actually instrumental. It is trying to wake him, his consciousness. The world she builds in a net which she is held. She is moved by a knowledge, so that knowledge is there. She is moved by the knowledge under the cloak of the ignorance. She has a might that does incredible. That actually this might is there, that knowledge is there, that works under the cloak of ignorance. And again we can find the on the lower levels her workings hide their purpose. In the lower level, her workings hide their purpose. On the higher level, so that is the difference. On the lower level, that the purpose is hidden, but on the higher altitude, they are undisguised in their operation. So this is the difference of action in the lower and higher level. But still in the course, her forms are only tokens. The truth is not concretely built. It is something done, but the original truth, the supreme truth, is not concretely built. What is constructed is only a copy and a figure. Lot of things to be done. It is only just a beginning. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully in his description. We can go forward. This is a character of the world that opens before Asapati. See this world, actually this is the character of the world which opens before him. It is led by a truth, but not the truth manifest. Partial. There is a freer space and a larger air. Life lived from deeper level and not from the surface. That is the another thing. Truth, but actually not the truth manifest. Second, life lived from deeper level, but not from the surface. Life is the leading power with mind and body. So life is the leading power with mind and body, following the trail. And dim dimensions of the cosmic and self of each being embraces the universe. Each is growing larger and taller in consciousness, and there are also many who imprison themselves attain the greatness. So at least something is being done. It is not the full truth manifest, and light to greater light. It is that exploration and expedition is there, and life with mind and sense. It travels on mind and body, following the trail. Each is a larger and taller in consciousness, and there is also many who imprison themselves to attain the greatness. Again, this world lies in the border of the mortal state. Border of the mortal state inspires all great movements in the world below on the earth, and sets pattern for the formations below. In this world, a greater life, there is a open confrontation between true and false, between good and evil. One is forced to make choice between the two. True. In this world of greater life, there is actually open contradiction between true and false, good and evil, and you have to choose only the one. Again, one is forced to make a choice between the hosts. The balance of values are other than the earth. The inner determinant determines the outer. That is a great thing. Inner determines the outer. All derives from the truth within. Is no barrier. And the mind, emotions and feelings are not divided from those others, but actually commune and fuse with each other. So there is one correlation is there. We can find sense is no barrier. All derives from the within. Inner determines the outer. The mind, emotion, and feeling are not divided from others. They are actually in tag with each other, and common and fuse with each other. There is a in life interchange we can see. Still, the ultimate oneness is not there. They can find some unions, some approach, some finding, some communion, but actually ultimate oneness is not found there. A soul, if that wishes, can sort itself from others. There is no real identity, no ultimate oneness. The miracle of the inconscient has been overpassed. The miracle of the superconscient still a mystery looming overhead. There is a kind of mid-term between the two mysteries. No, an ambiguous life in an uncertain world we can find, that is an ambiguous life in an uncertain world. The miracle of the inconscient has been overpassed. The miracles of the superconscient still in between. Actually, you can find a choice, ambiguous life in an uncertain world. Again, we are going little bit to analyze the pattern in a very interesting way. Ashwapati follows the trials of the greater life. At first, no aim is visible. Tries to know, initially he finds no visible aim, but only the wide source of all things, pointing still to the wider source. That is what he can find. There is a stronger pull from unknown above, a mightier and vaster formation of the life force. It is there, it is found. A stronger pull from the unknown above, stronger pull is there, and mightier and vaster formation of the life force. Yet much remains unrevealed. It is the interesting things. Pull is there, spreading is there, expansion is there, but much more are still remains unrevealed. He tries to scan the tangled design spread before him and loses himself reportedly in the labyrinth of the signs and patterns. Anyway, later we can see 1,000 faces of the truth stare at him, voices speak to him, ideas flash. He watches the amazement of the and the disappearance of the life's hopes and joys and passions. So, 1,000 faces of the truth stare at him, first number one. Voices speak to him, second. Ideas flash, and he watches the amazement of appearances and disappearance. Appearance and disappearance, both of life's hopes and joys and passions. He takes his poise of silence on the heights and sees life losing himself into the infinity. That is a great thing. She takes his poise of silence on the heights and looks life losing herself in the infinity. This barrier is receded. He identifies himself closely with her so that he might learn the secret of her soul. He is overpowered by her splendor and the display of skill. But he sees also her being within has been disappointed at the failure to seize the truth. This divine beloved is still beyond. He can find, there is an impulsion, he can go, there is also hope, there is also finds the truth, but ultimately everything is not in a concrete shape. There is also failure, and still then he finds the divine beloved is still beyond. There is an attraction, there is of course there is a pull from above. Let us quote couple of lines from original writings. Here we can find here in these beautiful writings we can see here. So that is a great discussion. Here we can find that oft quoted many times we feel, and of course we quote it again and again. In all who have risen to a greater life, in all who have risen to a greater life, a voice of the unborn things whisper to the ear. To the ear, some whispering is there from those who are yet to born. Voice of unborn things whisper to the ear. To their eyes, visited by some high sunlight, aspiration shows the image of a crown. Against during the course, a consciousness was lit by a truth above was felt. A consciousness lit by a truth above was felt. It saw the light but not the truth. It caught the idea and built from it a world. It made an image there and called it God. Yet something true and inward was harbored there. This is the true Godhead we can find, and this has been created by your mental will. And of course, there is a consciousness is working, and something is being harbored there. Then see that in the course, there every thought and feeling an act, and every act a symbol and a sign, and every symbol hides a living power. A universe she builds from truths and myths, but what she needed most she must rebuild. This is what has been all else she finds there lacks eternity. All she is sought out but missed the infinity. That is the real thing. And Sri Aurobindo again quotes the very beautiful lines that has been quoted here. We can find later. So the description is like we can find here. Each builds its temple and expands its cult, and seen through there is a divinity. Each builds its temple and expands its cult, and seen through there is a divinity. Then at the wisdom's altar they are kings and priests, or their life and a sacrifice to the idol of a power, or beauty shines on them like a wandering star. So this is the scenario we can find here. A battle is joined between the true and the false. A pilgrimage sets out to the divine light. There even for even ignorance they are aspire to know, and shines with the luster of a star. These glorious descriptions we can find here in this chapter. Later also we can find a mighty victory or a mighty fall, a throne in heaven or a defeat in hell. The dual energy they have justified and marked their souls with her tremendous seal. So just imagine how this has been glorious and the greatest magnanimous lines have been quoted by her, by Sri Aurobindo. Previously we have seen the miracle of the inconscience overpast. All was imperfect, still half known, ever done, half done. The miracle of the superconscious, still unknown, self-wrapped, unfelt, unknowable, looked down on them, origin of all they are. As forms they came of the formless infinity. As forms they came of the formless infinity. As names lived up the nameless eternity. So the beginning and the end were there occult. Again, we can go a little bit ahead with our glorious description while finding. There is a good description, of course, we see here. So, an exiled goddess building mimic heavens, a sphinx whose eyes look up to a hidden sun. So glorious, we can really get lines. Her hands that need fate in their violent grasp, her touch that moves, her powers that seize and drive. But these two he saw, her soul still wept within. Her seekings vain that clutch at fleeting truth, her hopes whose somber gaze meets with despair. Anyway, he stood with her on meditating peaks, where life and being are a sacrament offered to the reality beyond, and saw her lose into infinity, her hooded eagle of significance, messengers of thought to the unknowable. Anyway, we are going little bit forward to complete up the topic. That is actually it is a big chapter. We want to have a precise and of course in a short discussion in our the stipulated time we have to complete up. Anyway, coming towards the end, we find Ashwapati feels the presence of the spirit in the forms built by life. Presence of the spirit in the forms built by life. So the spirit from which derives her strength. So it is a good sign. From the spirit, life derives strength, but he is unable to decipher the design of in her vision, though catches some hints. Already, bright hints only finds the bright hints, not the full. In that high level of life existence, he follows in her course towards some infinitude and reads by her signs the intuitive flashes. So there is trial, there is an attempt. This Asapati is able to know and grasp, of course, see that spirit, that energy is coming from the spirit. Vision is getting illumined, but actually, finally, he finds here. He follows her course towards some infinitudes. Towards infinitude, that course is followed, and reads her signs right by intuitive flashes. Again, all the play of the life and spirit, all is a play of life and spirit, a game of hide and seek, gain and loss. This has been played, gain and loss, hide and seek, of course, a play of the life and spirit. The spirit hopes to possess life, but loses himself in her manifold play. See, this hide and seek already we have discussed. The spirit hopes to possess life but loses himself in her manifold play. Hopes and disappointments, joys and griefs punctuate every route. So find everything that common contrariety we can find. With all this pain and tears, however, a joy to live. There is also a will behind the life, and God has created everything out for a purpose. We can see the element of the in the core gives the meaning to life. Though she is wandered far away from the governing truth in her plunged down from her spiritual home, there is a purpose. Lost is the aim. Still, then there is chance, a joy to live that persists. There is a will behind each act. God has created everything for one purpose that must be manifested, but though it is seen so far, it is actually so diminished like this. The element at the core gives meaning to the life, though she is wandered far away from now itself. It is there, it has to be, but actually she has wandered far away. Again, towards the final phase of our discussion, we find to manifest the divine reality was the mission with which the life is charged. This is a very interesting line. To manifest the divine reality was the mission with which life is charged, but her performance is lagged behind her objective. Objective is to manifest the divine reality, was the mission, and the life is charged with it, but actually so far this mission and performance is concerned, it has lagged a lot behind the objective. She is not permitted to cease from labors. She must endure, strive, and must move on. Still then, even though it is lagged behind, still then she has to labor. She must endure, strive, and move on. Life and the soul within her have no respite from the march. They have to go on, they can't stop. It must be a ceaseless journey. Each goal points to the next. Even if one is achieved, the next is available, next is actually visible. We have to go. Behind all effort, there is a memory of the lost glory. Memory of the lost glory means it was there, it is coming through memory, and beyond all failures, there is a splendor that beckons. Naturally, even if it is there, failure after failure, you can see the brightness, the splendor that beckons. Life is perpetual in a toil to realize her dream. That is a great, that must go on. There is an abiding faith in time. There is an abiding faith that a time must come when the divine will respond to the call and manifest. So it is a must. It has been forgotten, it has been lost. There is a divine will, though everything is in the process of working. That must be there. This mission must be fulfilled. This vision must be worked out. That is what. Again, his varieties of truth, beauty, love, and bliss. Four things are there. His varieties of truth, beauty, love, and bliss in life's creations and restored her to her in the immortal state. That must be worked out. There is no other go, because the divine will is there, divine presence is there, divine working is in the process. So it must go on. So let us let us read few bright lines from Savitri here. He dreams of her beauty made for her ease. He dreams of her mastery her limbs shall bear. He dreams of the magic of her best of bliss. So later we can find the great thing in the process of discussion. A wandering splendor and a mystic cry recalls the strength and sweetness had no more. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes, in action, the next, then in knowledge to sum up the omniscience, in action to erect the omnipotent, to create the creator was her own heart's conceit, to invade the cosmic scene with utter God, toiling to transform the still fire absolute into all fulfilling epiphany, into the utterance of the ineffable. So this is for that actually she keeps laboring and this work is going on. Again, we can find that is a gorgeous lines from Savitri here. We can find and we can see here. Always a further task was left to do. A beat of action and a cry of search forever grew in that unquiet world. A busy murmur filled the heart of time, and all was contrivance and unceasing stir. 100 ways to live were tried in vain. So think that is still it is going on. There is no issue from the dreamlike space. Our beings must move eternally through time. Death helps us not. Vain is the hope to seize. A secret will compels us to endure. Just now we were discussing on the secret will. Death helps us not, vain is the hope to seize. A secret will compels us to endure. Our life's repose is in the infinity, it can't end, its end is life supreme. Death is a passage, not the goal of our acts. Work. Some ancient deep impulsion labors on, our souls are dragged us with a hidden leash. Carried from birth to birth, from world to world, our acts prolong after the body's fall. The old perpetual journey without cease. No silent peak is found where time can rest. This is the magic stream that reached no sea. So, in this process of birth and rebirth, this process of the eternal motion, perpetual journey, it has no end till now. Still, it is not getting the final stage of this mission labor will never cease. Against here in the quotes, our being's natural felicity, our heart's delight we have exchanged for grief. Our body's thrill we bartered for mere pain. The bliss for which our mortal nature yearns as yearns an obscure moth to blazing light. Our life is a march to a victory never won. That is the greatest failure. Till then, it is not at all failure for us, because that secret will is acting upon us and we have to endure. Life's worshipping eyes to the blue void called heaven, looking for the golden hand that never came, it is waiting and aspiring for. And finally, in the final phase of our Sri Aurobindo's writing on this topic, book 2, canto 6, we can find action. Repose God's motionless creative force. And action a repeal in the infinity, and birth is a gesture of eternity. A sun of transfiguration still can shine, and the night can bear its core of mystic light. Then we can find the self-cancelling, self-afflicting paradox into a self-luminous mystery might change. There is a hope, and for that actually we can hear the saying, "Oh, surely one day he shall come to our cry. One day he shall create our life anew and utter the magic formula of peace and the being perfection to the scheme of things. One day he shall descend into life and earth, leaving the secrecy of the eternal doors into a world that cries to him for help. Definitely he is coming. There is no end of the seeking and of rebirth, death. Everything has been described in this chapter beautifully. There is no end of seeking and of rebirth. There is no end of dying and return. The life that wins its aims asks greater aims. Once something you are achieved, you will achieve. You will hope for greater. Next page. The life that fails and dies, must live again till it has found itself. It can't cease. It is a ceaseless journey. It must go. It will describe all time's huge course. That is what the reason. All must be done for which and life and death we are made. Still, then Sri Aurobindo is apprehending that till, but who can say that even then there is rest or a repose or action of the same in the deep breast to God's supreme delight. So in a highest, but here in the course, in a high state where ignorance is no more. Anyway, towards the concluding, of course, in the finalist year in the course, life would reveal her true immortal face, what life, what reality, what identity we file and find and see here is not the whole. It has to be disclosed, would be the spirit's identity. And life would reveal her true immortal face, but now a termless labor is her fate. Nothing has been found and nothing has been completed. Life has no issue, death brings no release. A prisoner of itself, the being lives and keeps its futile immortality, living as a prisoner. Extinction is denied, its soul escape. It can never escape, it can never exit. An error of the gods has made the world or indifferent the eternal watches time. It is, even if it is still there, but still is there, the mission is there, the purpose is there, the secret will is working, it can never fail. Because this purpose must be chalked out, worked out. Till then, her labors must continue, however vain, however faultless. They must seem, and though her world appear to the pointless mistake of the gods, but still then it must be chalked out, it must be done anyway. This is a great chapter. So many differences and so many bright lines have been sketched here. There is a hope. We have found the description of the failure, of the attempt, the will of God, the matter in a spirit and matter. Then we can find birth, rebirth, that is, and of course cessation and this continuation. Everything we can find. Development, of course, progress. Everything we find here. There is a hope. There is a mission. There is a vision, and it must be fulfilled because of this secret will. There is, of course, very much correlation, very much contact of the spirit and matter. Soul is in an awakened stage. Everything must be capitalized. Anyway, this is a great topic, and we are discussing it in a bright manner. Sri Aurobindo has written lot of glorious things have been described here. Of course, in our brief discussion, so-called Savitri summarization, it is not possible to work out and check out everything in detail. But thing is, we have given a gist, one of course, one outward touch only, and this will be helpful, I feel, while lingering and marching forwards. Vande Mataram.